Right, I'm figuring that this is probably the best way to do this in a quick video through Revelstoke to try and go through the buildings that are potentially available and what the story is with each one. So I'll try and keep, I don't know, it might be impossible to keep this under 5 minutes, but here we go. All right, so if we go to the west side, this is everything I know. I'm sure there's other stuff, but this is, I'll just do a brain dump here. This lot right here is owned by Steve Platt. It's under conditional sale, and they're going to be putting in uh, townhomes, condos. I think it's a 3 or 6 acre parcel. Difficult to develop, very expensive because it doesn't have sewer running all the way to it. So they're doing a lot of infrastructure to get that lot developed. But either way, that one's sold. Everything else here is residential and filled in. Parks Canada is putting in a new RV park up here in this area right now. So that'll draw more traffic down to this end of town. Um, this is all owned by Brett Renault of Revelstoke Equipment Rentals, this company. And this building they haven't been using for a while and been trying to lease it. So there might be something there, but it's also kind of in the middle of nowhere. This lot right here is the Frontier. It's dilapidated. The owner is impossible. We had an not an accepted deal, but conditional for building 2 hotels here, and then he backed out because he wants complete control and won't do any sharing of the development. But anyhow, this is an amazing lot for development, but it's not. Nothing's really going to happen here until the father that owns the lot passes away, and then it'll force the family to do something with it. This is the graveyard. Down here, all of this is developed. There's being development happening right here. This hotel's been updated. There's a small lot, but that's right here that is available, and it Northland Properties owns it, but they would, it's a small parcel of commercial that's decent. I don't know what's happening with this parcel right here. I don't know who owns it, but that could be decent. What else is happening? Okay, so this lot, because this picture is old, there's now the new Ramada Hotel there. There's a bottom parcel here that's available, but it's kind of hidden in a ditch, so it would be good for a low value hotel. And then this parcel right here is available as well, and we had some offers in on that lot, but the seller, whose name's Steve Platt, is a little bit unrealistic on price. It's a teeny bit high. I forget the offer that we had in on it, but it was quite reasonable. If you're interested, I can look that up. But anyhow, there's a space right here that Ramada is looking for a restaurant to go in. They have Boston Pizza sign up there right now, so they're looking for something that would be drive through or fast food related. But I think they're really targeting a Boston Pizza, and then there's going to be some other small retail here. And they're in the process of this summer. They're going to be putting in another around approximately 100 unit hotel. So you have the Ramada, which is close to 100 units, and then the 100 unit here, and this is zoned for another 100 unit hotel, but no one's purchased this parcel yet. So that's what's happening there. This plaza is completely developed. There's nothing. There's a business that's for sale in there, but nothing in particular that's for sale. Moving here, this lot is owned by Freddie Barucci. He owns a lot of the town, doesn't want to sell it, wants to hold it. I spoke to him about that lot about 6 months ago. This lot is going to be the Splash Park. This is a city-owned parcel. This lot was just recently acquired, and I don't know exactly what they're doing. They started doing some work before winter. This lot right here is for lease. This is the Jacobson Ford. This apartment's being updated and stratified into condos. They're selling individual units. The owner's not interested in selling. We managed that building for 5 years. These are individually privately owned land that I know the guys that own those aren't interested in selling. So this is all commercial along here. And there might be, no, this guy that owns this hotel, let me zoom in a bit. Not interested in moving it. He'll keep it for the rest of his life. There's this parcel right here he owns actually, and is going to expand the motel to have more units here. That's your Esso building. These are private homes. Sometimes these homes will come up for sale, but the parcels aren't big enough to build anything substantial on them. This trailer park is completely gone. It's just a green field or brown field now, and it's actually a nice parcel. It's also owned by Steve Platt. He bought this whole area and then has been selling parcels of it off because he had a master development plan that to bring these hotel lots through all the way through and blast this rock. So there's a second entrance to town, but that isn't happening anymore. So he owned all these, but has sold them off one at a time, and then this trailer park has been completely torn apart, and all the waterworks underneath it has been taken apart. So it's just a clean field now. The challenge with this area is there isn't enough water supply currently to it to develop anything substantial here, and you need to get more water supply. We've looked at it from a city perspective. We need to go under the railway tracks, which is extremely expensive. So it almost makes a bit of an island with this lot until the city upgrades the water service, which I don't anticipate happening for 3 to 5 years. But that's what that lot story is. These are just residential houses here. Then the veterinary clinic. I don't know who owns these buildings, to be honest with you. They're established. I don't see anything happening with them anytime soon. And these are just houses. The Legion's having problems, but I don't think they'll be gone for any time in the immediate future. This parcel is the La Baguette Cafe. This delineation, I would say right here is where the downtown starts now, because La Baguette has so much traffic going to it, and the owner of this, his name's Ollie, he's developed out this whole building. It was a big part of expanding the downtown. There's a lot of people that come to this. It's a really popular place. And then we have this restaurant that I have for sale down here, which is a nice corner lot parcel, but the restaurant is not really profitable. They make They do $600,000 in revenue a year. This lot right here is tied up right now because there is easements that cross it that the city has, and it's owned by the school board, and they're trying to figure that out right now. They divested of this property. This is the Mountain View School, and it's now been developed into a restaurant. There's a doctor's office and there's a distillery in this building right here. All of this is gone. This has all been torn down. So all that's left is this historical building, this school. So that's starting to draw some traffic to it. But this parcel is going to be incredible for development of residential and maybe some commercial. But they're just kind of waiting. The city would need pressure to sort their stuff out so that the school board could then be free to sell it. But that's going to be something interesting to follow. All this is residential. There's nothing going on here. This is the building that we have for sale right now, and this small building that has the party wall between it. I don't know exactly the story with it. I need to talk to the owner to see if this could all be sold off as together. But this is actually a really good building. What's this building? Oh, this building was the old brewery, and it's been leased out. It's now an auto body shop. It's filled. It was empty for a year, but it's now completely occupied. This lot, there's potential on this lot. I know that one of the developers that I work with has spoken with the owner, and he would sell this lot actually. So there's some potential there, if that's of any interest. All of this, there's nothing. This is the Save On Foods. It's completely full. I'm sure the landlord's happy with that. I don't know who owns those buildings. Emos, they're not looking to sell. This TD Canada Trust building, it's completely filled. It's the Red Apple. There's some vacancies that are in this building right here, because they're not vacant, but it's businesses that will likely, I anticipate, going bankrupt within 12 to 18 months, maybe even 6 months. So there'll be some vacancies in that building, but I don't know who owns this building. Let's see. PharmaSave is owned by a guy named Stephen Huey. He just sold the business. There's no interest and there's no movement with anything there. And the Revelstoke Visitors Information Center was built a couple years ago, and there's some vacancy on the top floor of that building and some commercial space, but it's 90% full, and that's brand new. Freddie Barucci owns that building. This Grizzly Sports Bar is owned by this guy named Claudio, and this building's half owned by Claudio and half by Freddie Berushi. The other half of it's a nightclub. So one half is a restaurant and a liquor store. The other half is a nightclub. The Berushis would maybe divest of the nightclub. I talked to them about it, and they don't like the business, but it is. That's the story with that building. What's this building? Oh, this is the museum, so that's not going anywhere. This building is... Is this the Remax building? Or is this... don't know if that's Remax. I'm spacing on this building right now. I might have to come back to this building. Can I zoom in more? This lot right here was purchased, and they're developing on that lot this year. Oh, this is the Mountain Meals building. This is the Silverbell building. Sorry, we manage this building. All the upper floor is there's 2 floors of condos and main floor of commercial space. One of the units was for sale in there, but this building's completely developed out and upgraded. Home Hardware, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. They bought some extra land in the industrial park, but they do really well right here. I don't anticipate them leaving, and this is their yard and their building. This building right here is a graphics company. He bought it off his father. He is probably 65, so there may be some interest there. I know the business does okay, but it's 2 lots. This is a vacant lot behind it that they own, and they just use for storing vehicles, but 90% of the time it's empty. And then this lot right here, this is their business. So there might be some opportunity there in the next 5 years. Let's see. This is the building that's across from Home Hardware. It's owned by a guy named Mike Vay. We've spoke to him about purchasing and actually had an offer on that building 2 years ago. The building's in terrible disrepair, so you could purchase this corner, and it goes to this wall right here. Like, this is all one building, and I believe it was 6 commercial units, and then it has 2 residential units on the top. But that building will have to be torn down probably within a 15-year time span, and you're into definitely redoing roof, and there would be a fair bit of work to be done in there. But we had an accepted offer 2 years ago from him at $600, which is actually pretty good. We backed out because we didn't have the money to do the roof and do the upgrades that were necessary. BC Liquor Store is owned by Freddie Berushi. Nothing's going on there. And then this is a government building, Work BC. Nothing's going on there either. This building, Rough Country Marine, it just sold a year ago to new owners, so I don't anticipate them wanting to sell it anytime soon. What's behind Rough Country? Oh, this is TELUS. TELUS owns this property and all of this, and they have their TELUS towers on it. That's not going anywhere. This building right here is the Remax building. It's a large building, has a lot of commercial space on the top floor that was empty for a while, but now it is, I think it's 100% full. If it isn't, it's definitely 95% full the last time I was in it. And the main floor is all full, so there's nothing going on there. I know that those realtors, the people that own it, there's a party of 3 that own it collectively, and I know they have no interest in selling it. Style Trend Clothers, this is owned by Mark McKee. He doesn't have any interest in selling it. This building right here is owned by, what's the family's name? Jazz is the father's name. Anyhow, it's empty, but they converted the top of it. They're converting it into a vacation rental, and the bottom of it, they're indeterminate of what they're doing as far as leasing it out. But it had a tenant in there up until 4 months ago, and so they might use it themselves, or they may release it to the market to rent. But they have no interest in selling. This Frisbee Ridge restaurant, I actually don't know the story with this. I don't know who owns it, but I don't anticipate them selling. It's a pretty successful Japanese sushi restaurant. What is beside here? Oh, this building is a pizza shop, and it's owned by a guy named Tally, and it's also going to have a marijuana dispensary in it. He has no interest in selling. He's probably 45, maybe, not at the age where he wants to sell. This is the credit union building, and they just acquired this building maybe 5 years ago. No entrance is selling. This lot right here is a house. It's commercially zoned, and it's been different businesses from time to time, mostly trinkets and that kind of thing. I don't know who owns it. I don't know the story. There may be some potential there. This building. Oh, this is the furniture shop. They have no interest in selling. Paramajit's Kitchen, they own the furniture shop. They own this building. They're actually the ones that own this building too. They have no interest in selling. Nico's, he is actually going to sell the business in the next 8 months, but wants to remain on as a landlord. There may be some potential there if he wants to sell all of it. It's about a 1,500 square foot building or square foot unit. This building right here, I met with the owner maybe 3 weeks ago now, and he wants to sell the building and the business within the next 18 months. We'll probably list that in March or April would be my guess. It's 2,000 square feet with ground floor and basement. So there's some potential there. This building was just completely purchased by an executive from Microsoft, and they gutted it, renovated it. They're gonna lose their shirts on it, and they'll have it until they die. There's nothing happening in this building that I know. It's the medical offices and has some commercial space on the ground floor. RBC owns it. No interest. They're not, as far as I know, they have no interest in moving that bank. This is a Chinese food restaurant that I think they would sell it. I talked to them, but now it's probably 4 years ago that I talked to them, and they were interested at that point in selling the whole building. So there's some potential there. It's not huge. You can see it doesn't expand the whole lot. Roxy Theater, we sold the Roxy Theater 5 years ago now, maybe even 6 years ago. So the business, not the building. I think the building is owned by... Heck's the guy's name? I forget actually. I'm spacing on his name right now. But yeah, I don't know what the story is with that. I could dig into that. But it's a theater. It can't be anything but a theater. There's some space in the basement to develop. You can maybe put some more stuff down there, like a club or something, but that would take a lot of money. Then these guys, the Hong Kong restaurant, don't know anything about what they're doing. No idea. This building's changed operations, it's retail right now, and it's split with Avalanche Center. I don't know the owner, don't know the story. This Chubby Funsters building was purchased by the guys that own the Village Idiot, and they have no interest in doing anything with it anytime soon. Skookum's owned by the same guy that owns the Remax building. He has no interest in doing anything with it anytime soon. He also owns the Emo's restaurant. Garnish, yeah, I believe is owned by by Mass, who owns this building, but don't have any interest in going anywhere anytime soon. This building I believe is owned by Northland Properties, by the Gallardis, and it's rented right now, top and bottom, by Jason Rowe. We used to manage the top. I think we still do, actually, our company. There's maybe some potential they might sell that building, but that's a big maybe. I actually doubt it. This is CIBC. And this building right here is owned by Mark McKee, as well as this building's owned by Mark McKee. Mark McKee doesn't have any, he's probably 10 to 15 years away from selling any of his stuff. Let's see, continuing on. Taco Club. So this just opened a new restaurant that's been there for probably a year, Big Ben Cafe. The owners that own this have no interest in selling the building. This building, they own both of these, actually the same family, the Taco Club. They have no interest in selling it. This would be Grizzly Books. She doesn't have any. We manage the top of this building. She has no interest in selling. The modern business is for sale, but not the building. I don't know who owns the building. And there's a convenience shop in there that she would sell the business in a couple years, but isn't selling the building. And this is City Hall. This lot right here behind City Hall is a development lot. It's divided into 3 parcels. It could also be consolidated, and it's listed by Royal LePage, and it's owned by Steve Platt. And the only reason why it hasn't moved is because Steve Platt doesn't negotiate, and his prices are often unreasonable. This building, I don't know anything. This is the medical building that has some commercial, and again, I don't know what the story is as far as sales. Conversations Coffee House, she has no interest in doing anything with it. This building, I don't know what the story is and never have with the top floor of this building. The bottom floor is the squash den. No idea what they want to do with it. I don't think they want to sell it. This building's owned, the end building is owned by Connie Brothers, and they'll hold on to it probably until they die because they have good tenants in it. And they renovated it about 8 years ago, and it's vacation rental and commercial, and they have decent tenants in it, so I don't anticipate them wanting to do anything with that. And I do not know the story with this building right here. This building's owned by Gary Sulls. He's got it filled out with tenants, and he only partially owns it with a collective, and nothing's happening here. This building was sold recently to a younger family. There's no way that anything's happening with that. I don't know who owns this building right here. And this is a skate shop and a children's store, but it also has lots of space in the back, and I believe this building has underground parking. I don't know who owns it. That would be interesting to figure out who owns this building, actually, because that's a really nice building. Main Street Cafe, this just sold. They're not going to do anything. They just bought that, as well as with this lot just sold. And this lot is for sale right here, but it's only good for for what it is, which is a vacation rental. This is the church. And these guys don't want to sell this building. I know the Village Idiot guys have tried to buy it for ages, and they don't want to sell it. And the woman that owns this building with Dose Coffee, her name's Mary Wong, and she's elderly, so they would potentially sell this building at some point. It might be worth looking into that to see if they want to buy it. It's fully tenanted. It's a decent building. And this is... What's this? Oh, this is a Chinese food restaurant. No idea what the story is with it. Okay. What is this? Craft Beer House just got bought, so it's off the radar. That guy won't want to sell it. Spacing on what this building is. This building is owned by the Rowe brothers. They're half and half, actually. This part of it just sold. We managed this part of it, and the owners don't want. They're young. They won't want to sell it. But this building right here, I know that they would take offers on it. It has, what does it have? 3 commercial spaces in it, and then 6 residential units upstairs. They'll be unreasonable with a number, but they might be. You could probably get it for a decent price. It needs a lot of work, this building, but it's good. It's good space. And if you converted the units upstairs into short-term rentals, you would be able to print money out of this building. It's not bad, actually, this one. That's an option worth looking into. And I can't think for the life of me. Oh, this is the Investors Group building, and it's also houses council chambers, and they're not going to move on that building. They've got good tenants in it. Okay, so where do we want to go? This is the Regent Hotel block, owned by Freddie Barucci. He has no interest in selling. This is Freddie Barucci, no interest in selling. This is the Cabin, which is the bowling alley, which spans this whole chunk right here. They are underwater in a bad way, but they will not move on price. I've met with them. Maybe they'll go bankrupt in the next 12 months. So this might be a good property in the next 12 months. But they'll have to go bankrupt before it has to get into the bank's hands before anything's going to happen with that. This parcel recently sold, and this whole building recently sold from Mike Vay, so nothing's happening there. This parcel recently sold. It was owned by Mike Vay, and this chunk right here would still be available to purchase. Mike Vay owns it, but it's really small. This is the gem in the town right now. This chunk of land right here, it actually sold for around $350,000, probably 3 years ago now, because it's contaminated. So the people that purchased it bought it really cheap, but took on all the contamination liability. It's contaminated by CP Rail, right here. Anyhow, they're weird. Like, the woman's name is Judy. She runs Judy's Design out of it. We used to manage this building. It's massive. It's in disrepair. It would be a tear down, and then you'd have this parcel. But they're weird. I don't know if they would be, for the right price, they would probably sell, but they have this dream of what they're going to make into it. There's no way they'll ever be able to do it. So it's just such a nice parcel, and it's a shame that the wrong people bought it because they don't have any capital to develop it. This lot is Freddie Brucey as well, so it's not going anywhere. Let's see, this is the city parking lot. That again is the Freddie Brucey owns that for staff accommodation, and this is just residential. This building right here, the half of it right here is for sale. It's overpriced. It's $700,000. It's currently a paint shop, and that's the story with that. Let's see what else is happening over here. Not a whole heck of a lot else happening over here. I don't know who owns this or what their story is, but it's a commercial lot with some shops in it. Some of these lots are commercial, but they're all pretty small. This lot is a potential, and down to here, contaminated land, but has some potential to it because the railway tracks don't run through here anymore. They're putting a traffic circle in here this summer, so that they took over CP's land. So all of this will be a big traffic circle, which will then add extra value to this land. It's owned by the brothers, the same people that own that building downtown I was talking about, that recently renovated. They have an option to purchase it. That's an accepted offer right now, waiting on the contamination to be cleaned up, which will probably never happen. So that lot's in limbo. Okay, back over here. I just want to touch base on this lot. He would sell for $5 million, which is probably overpriced by about $1.5 million because this hotel, the Powder Springs, is in such disrepair. But you could still probably pull 10 years of life out of it, or renovate it and pull more life out of it. But it's a nice parcel right downtown. This is all government owned. It's the police center. Same with this, Canada Post, all government owned. This whole lot was recently purchased, the Cube, by a guy, and he renovated it and is putting money into it. This lot right here is owned by a guy named Chester, and he'll probably will it to his son. Nothing's happening there in the long term. Thrift shop, nothing's happening there. This apartment complex is owned by this guy named Emo, and I have been working on him for 5 years because it's so awesome. Anyhow, he self-manages and doesn't want to do anything as far as having us manage it. But, this lot. This is the one owned by Emo. I don't know who owns this. Wait. Oh, that's Monashi Court. Sorry. Getting myself backwards. This is Monashi Court. We manage this building. It's a government housing building. This is the property that Emo owns. It's so nice. It's right on the river. It's I think 40, 50 apartment units. Anyway, that's a gem that's just unfortunately waiting for somebody to die. This lot just recently sold. to Mark McKee. He's not going to do anything with it anytime soon. And residential. This whole block is coming up for sale. It's kind of listed as signs on it. And their lease is this TV lease, the Revelstoke cable lease, I think is up something around, it might be March. But anyhow, this lot is, I've contacted the real estate agent trying to push him to figure out what's going on there. But that's good. There's good potential there. I don't know what's happening here on this lot. This hostels, nothing's happening here. Revelstoke Excel Tire, these guys, I've talked to them about selling the business. They're at the point where they need to sell the business, but aren't ready to do it. They have no one to take it over, and there's health issues. It's 3 brothers that own it. One of them has severe health issues. The other one is starting to have health issues, and one of them's fine, but they can't let go. That one's tough. But 5-year timeline for sure. This family laundry is for sale. It's exorbitantly priced. It's ridiculous. This lot sold. It's going to be developed in the interim this spring actually, and this house is privately owned and is not going to sell anytime soon. I know the guy that bought it. His name's Peter. He is a young guy. He'll keep it for a while, and this lot will sell at some point because this person's elderly, so that one has potential in the near future. Okay, that brings us, we talked about this already, how this lot's potential. This lot recently sold. This isn't going to go anywhere. Trevor English is owning this lot. This isn't going anywhere. This is the fitness. This is a really nice lot right here and is owned by this guy named Frank Fick, and he is indecisive about what he wants to do with it. I've met with him a bunch, and sometimes he wants to sell it, sometimes he wants to keep it, but he's leaving Revelstoke in a year and a half and retiring, and has bought property outside of Revelstoke. So at that time he might revisit selling it, but there's some potential there. It's a 4-plex, and it's perfect for vacation renting. You'd be able to print money out of it. That's it. That's Revelstoke. At least for now. And then, let's see. This is just this other lot that we had for sale that we were saying isn't going to work. That he's done the development up here, and they're developing right here, and you know the information on that lot. All right, that's it.